Hi there, Rabbi. Can I talk to you about Jesus? He's your
Certainly.
savior, and you want to get to heaven, don't you? What's going to happen if you don't convert?
I certainly would like to talk about Jesus. He was born a Jew and he died a Jew. And many people lose sight of the fact that on the cross, he was reciting the Vidui, the final Jewish confession. And I'm always amazed when people talk about this or won't let me talk about it or ask me, am I really Jewish? As if talking about Jesus is verboten. Hey, if Jesus came back to earth, he would go to my temple to pray and he'd read from the Torah because that's what he did when he was alive. He wouldn't know anything about all the cathedrals and all the incense and all the other stuff going on. So I have no problem talking about Jesus.
It's one of those things where having gone to parochial school, Catholic parochial school, Catholic high school, and having friends who were priests or knowing priests all my life, the first thing that happened, because I knew there were Jews, I just didn't know any. And I knew there were Jewish services, I just never went to any before. But then I married my wife, and all of a sudden I'm in high holidays and listening to all this stuff. And the first interfaith joke I ever told was, you know, this 3, 4 hours of praying is great. Okay, good for you. But a good priest would get you in and out in 45 minutes. Um, but we all have our perspectives on the divine, as you like to use the term. And how do we reconcile all these?
You know, the greatest compliment I received in my 40 years as a chaplain with the VA was to have patients, this happened many times, come to me and say, I never would have believed a rabbi could have brought me back to the Christ. And I don't accept Jesus as the Christ, but as a chaplain, I can teach and I can help people on their path where they want to go without condemning me or without accusing me, without anything. And the saddest moments I've had at the VA, and this happened on many occasions, was having a family in my office actually crying and saying to me, you're such a good chaplain. You helped my father, mother, sister, cousin come back and you helped them, and you're going to hell because you don't accept Jesus as the Christ. And they cried. And those were the saddest moments that I ever had as a chaplain. Not people dying, not people committing suicide, people actually crying and telling me I'm a great person, it's too bad. And it never clicked. It never occurred to them that it's about action and it's not about belief, as James so nicely put it in the book of James.
I don't know whether I was a very logical child or whether or not I did not subject myself to the observations of the priests and nuns that I was being taught. But I always had all these questions. You're talking about paperwork. And if you fill out the right paperwork, you go to heaven. And if you don't fill out the right paperwork, you don't go to heaven. And that doesn't seem right to me. It never did. But how do we convince people, or should we try and convince people, is the better term, for that their beliefs are not necessarily correct?
No, no, it's not. I don't want to convince anyone. That's why I'm so proud that my patients complimented me on bringing them back to the Christ. No, no, I don't want to convince anyone that they're right or wrong. What I want is everyone to look and say, your path is okay. You don't have to have my religion. You don't have to have my beliefs. And we still can walk together. We still can share. I just want the validation that I'm okay and that your way isn't. Besides, we wouldn't have an infinite number of Protestant denominations if there was only one way to return to Jesus. The very fact that Christians can't agree, and this also is so bizarre, Joe, it never ceases to amaze me that we have Catholics, Protestants, and Jews. In my mind, should have Muslims, Jews, and Christians. Why aren't Catholics considered Christian, I understand the paperwork stuff, but I don't understand it.
And that argument alone is why church and state should stay separate, because while you can argue the logic of almost any democratic operation, little though there might be at times, you can never argue logically about religion because it's all based on faith and interpretation. So it becomes very personal. Well, I know what I believe in, Rabbi. I believe in you. And as always, thanks for your wisdom.
And for everyone watching and listening, I don't want to argue. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're right. I'm just asking for you to give me the respect that you want me to give you about your beliefs. And we'll all see each other in heaven.